Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. It's your brother Azrael.
Brother Yeshaya.
Right? With the hopeful elect, we're coming to give you a Sabbath class lesson. Also, happy new moon to all this celebrating the new moon, Ashar new moon, which is a happy new moon. Also, it's a Sabbath day as well for us. So we say Shabbat Shalom to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. Today I got this video listed as the laborers are few. On my personal page, I did a video on how to wait on the Lord. And I emphasized, waiting on the Lord was waiting hand and foot on the Lord. When you're in your times of trouble or hour of temptation, are you being met by the tester or the great tempter, or you going through a hard time in life? It says to wait on the Lord. Those that wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. But what does it mean to wait on the Lord? It means to be a waiter or a waitress. It means to serve him in your time of trouble, right? Because he tells us that you come to serve him, you signing up for that time of trouble. You signing up for a hard life, right? So with that in mind, we got to always know that we got to keep doing the righteous acts to get our salvation, right? So let's get into it. We're going to talk about the laborers are few. You give me Matthew 9 and 37, right? Matthew 9 and 37. This is going to start us off.
All right. This is the book of Matthew, the 9th chapter, starting at the 37th verse. And it reads, Then said he unto his disciples, The harvest truly is plenteous, but the laborers are few.
Right. The harvest is plenteous, but the laborers are few. What does that mean? What is the harvest? Spiritually, the harvest is what? It's the truth. It's just, it's all the brothers and sisters that's in the truth. The harvest is all the knowledge that you can gain in the truth. The harvest is all the wisdom, right? That's the harvest. The harvest is beautiful. The harvest is what also? It's that new kingdom that we're striving for. It's beautiful, right? But the laborers are few. We only got a few people pushing the truth. We only got a few people laboring in the truth. We only got a few people striving for the kingdom. And only a few people's going to make it to the kingdom. So it says the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Even when we get to the kingdom, he tells us, I believe in Esdras, that there's some places that man has not touched. He also tells us in the canonized Bible that what? He tells us that eyes have not seen, right? The things that's prepared for us. There's places that we haven't seen. There's places that man hasn't touched, right? That's because guess what? The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, a lot of people didn't count the cost. Shalom a lot. Shout out to the prisoners of Yahweh Shai. You know what I'm saying? Brothers do the work. They labor. They're some of the few laborers in the truth as well. So shalom to the brother. You know what I'm saying? People didn't count the cost though. People did not count the cost. Salakia. So yeah. And Salakia, I had wrote down some notes just so I get some talking points out. But so a lot of people, they didn't count the cost. Let's get that real quick in Luke 14:28.
This is the book of Luke, chapter 14, starting at the 28th verse.
Right. A lot of people, they didn't count the cost, right? And they didn't realize when laboring for this harvest that they was going to have to be working a 9-to-5 job spiritually. You know what I'm saying? They didn't know that they was going to get tired. They didn't know that they was entering into a world full of debt, right? And what kind of debt am I talking about? I'm talking about an everlasting debt until we get our salvation. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people didn't count the cost. They didn't know that they would be doing hard work for free. They didn't know they was going to have to freely give what they sought carefully with tears. You know what I'm saying? What they found with fear and trembling, they didn't know they was going to have to give that to somebody for free. You know what I'm saying? As much as you've been freely give, you got to freely give that. But in your head, you thinking, man, it wasn't freely given to me. I worked for all this. But guess what? That's charity. So you have to freely give that because why? You're in debt. Everything that you do, everything that you think you're earning, you know what I'm saying? You're not earning. Everything that you think you're working for, you know what I'm saying? You're in debt. We're living sacrifices because we're in debt, right? He redeemed us. What does redeem mean? He bought our salvation, so we're in debt to him. So it doesn't matter if you're the biggest camp or congregation leader. It doesn't matter. You know why? Because he's in debt too. All the knowledge and wisdom he got to give that out freely. Because why? He's in debt. So that Joel Osteen scandal came out where they found $600,000, you know what I'm saying, in the wall. So guess what? Hey, look, these mega church pastors and everything, perverting the word, reaping all these benefits from their word, right? Making people pay money to come to church pretty much, you know what I'm saying? And taking these people's money and then preaching a prosperity doctrine saying that, hey, you'll reap what you sow. Or they'll say your blessing's right around the corner, right? But they got their blessing in it. They got their blessing already. They could give the blessing literally back that same service. Somebody that's homeless, they could literally buy that person a house. But do they do it? No, they don't freely give because they don't have the concept knowing that they're in debt, right? As Israelites who have been redeemed and bought back, we're in debt. So it doesn't matter how much we gain in this truth, we're in debt. It doesn't matter how much we suffer in this truth, we're in debt. All right? You still got to be a laborer. Doesn't matter. Like I said before, you're a waiter or a waitress. You know what I'm saying? You might have bad customers. You might have good customers. But you're going to work your tops. You're going to be at the top of your game for each table because you want a tip. Because 9 times out of 10, you're in debt. Because you got to pay a house note, a car note. You know what I'm saying? Apartment, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So you're going to work, right? Whether you're being persecuted or oppressed or whether you're being praised for something, you're going to work, right, for that tip. And that's what we're doing. We're laboring for the harvest so we get the tip at the end, which is our salvation, right? A lot of people didn't count the cost. We'll read this real quick. Read it real quick.
This is the Luke, the 14th chapter, the 28th verse. And it reads, "For which of you, intending to build a tower, sitteth not down first and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it?" Right.
So did you count the cost when we were building this tower? When you became a new creation, and as a new creation, you was brought into a family, and the family is trying to build back a temple. Did you count the cost that you was gonna have to give up all your free days? All your PTO was gonna be gone. Did you count the cost that you wasn't gonna have benefits you was gonna have to suffer? Did you count the cost that you would have to freely give, right? Stuff that you think that you earn. Did you count the cost? You didn't count the cost. Did you count the sleepless nights from the conversations you're gonna have with brothers and sisters in the truth? Did you count the arguments you was gonna have with your family members and your friends because of this truth? You didn't count the cost, right? You're not willing to labor. You wasn't prepared to take the job before you took it. And why is that? Because like John the Revelator said when he talked to the angel told John to eat it. What did he mean by eat it? He meant eat this whole truth, right? And what happened? It was sweet to his taste and it was bitter in his stomach, just like the angel said. A lot of us, we get in this truth and what do? We lick the top of the icing, right? We get that whipped cream off the top. We taste that sweet taste, but we don't ever ingest it. So it's never bitter to us, right? We never find out that it's bitter because we never count the cost. We just see it shiny on the top, right? We see it taste sweet on the top, but we never ingest the whole thing. And now, because we didn't count the cost, we end up not being laborers in the harvest, right? We get choked up by the thorns, sown among the thorns, right? And the cares of the world take us away. All right. So, there was an example too, I wanted to bring to light. Also, it was a servant that said good master, as to say rabbi in the Hebrew, right? And that servant said, "Master, what can I do to get to the kingdom?" He said, "What can I do?" Because we know it's not what? It's not hearing that saves you. It's not the hearing of the law that's just, but it's the doers, right? So he said, "What can I do?" Right? He didn't say, am I already saved? He said, "What can I do?" What does that mean? He wanted to be a servant. He wanted to labor. And then he backed it up by saying, "I've done this already. I've done X, Y, and Z. I've done all these commandments already. Is there anything left for me to do?" And Christ said what? He said, sell all that you have, right? He didn't count the cost. He didn't know he'd have to sell all that he had. The stuff that he thought he earned, he didn't know he had to give it to somebody else, right? That's part of being a laborer in the truth. When you're a laborer in this truth, you're a servant, all right? When you're a servant, guess what? You put in work, all right? You can't just wait on the Lord and sit down and pray and fast and think everything's going to be okay. No, while you're going through what you're going through, guess what? Go out on the highways and byways. Get on the phone. Share the word on Instagram. You know what I'm saying? Read fast. You know what I'm saying? Watch lessons. You know what I'm saying? You got to labor in this truth because that harvest is beautiful. Yes, the harvest is beautiful. If you look at a natural harvest, it's beautiful. But guess what? Somebody had to work that harvest to make it beautiful. So we see this truth. It's a beautiful thing, right? We see this truth. There's a lot of beautiful people in it. It's loving. The holy days is awesome. But guess what? You got to work for that to happen. You go to a holy day feast. Somebody had to prepare that. You go down to the street corner. You just see brothers in fringes on the street corner with posters. Somebody had to print them posters out. Somebody had to make the time when they was going to go out there. Them brothers had to stand out there for as long. It's always work being done. The harvest is plentiful. The laborers are few. We don't got enough people laboring. All right. Moving on. Can we get Matthew 10 and 8?
All right, this is the book of Matthew, the 10th chapter, starting at the 8th verse. And it reads, healed the sick, cleansed the lepers, raised the dead, cast out devils. Freely ye have received, freely give.
Right. So what is he saying? He's saying freely have we received, so we got to freely give. But what did he say at the beginning? Read at the beginning.
Verse 8 again from the top. Heal the sick.
Heal the sick. That's work. Keep going.
Cleanse the lepers.
Cleanse the leper. That's work.
Raise the dead.
Raise the dead. That's work.
Cast out devils.
Cast out devils. That's work. So what is he talking about? Freely give. It sounds like to me he's just saying, hey, work for other people. No, he's saying, guess what? I did that for you. I healed the sick. You were sick spiritually, and guess what? I healed you. So guess what? Since I freely did that for you, you do it to somebody else. I held the lepers, right? The people that was defiled. You know what I'm saying? And guess what? Now you got to go do that. I gave to the poor. Now you got to go do that. That's what he means. He's meaning spiritually, but our people are so carnal, right? We don't grasp that concept of freely giving. We think, oh, because I studied so much and I know so much information, got to put a price tag on it. Nah, I'm going to hold that back. He's not ready for that information yet. I'm going to hold this precept back at the camp because, you know what I'm saying? He not the one that's supposed to give it. I'm supposed to give it because I'm the one that studied and found it. No, we got to labor and freely give to everybody. We don't know. And I pulled this out too a while ago about the truth musicians, right? You can't have a project and say, you know, I'm going to drop this when I get this many likes. Or let me get this many Kwame Yasharalas in the comment and then I'll drop it. No, you don't know what your song might do. You don't know who your song might save or help in a time or in a state of sorrow and depression, right? So you can't hold back none of this stuff, man. You can't look back into the world and be like the world. Read this one more time.
Matthew chapter 10 and verse 8 from the top. Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out devils. Freely ye have received, freely give.
Right, so he basically spiritually told them to work their butt off and said freely give it, right? And he said, hey, look, that's how you have to be in the kingdom. A lot of times when you're in debt, because like I said, we're in debt. That's why we got to keep working, even though it seems like we're working for free. When you're in debt, sometimes when you're paying that debt off, especially with interest, which is adding on to your money, a lot of times when you're paying that debt off, you kind of feel like you're working for free because you already got what you were possessing. So you kind of like, well, I'm not paying for this, right? So it's kind of it's kind of annoying to pay that payment every month. You got a car already. You drive your car every day. You see your car every day. So it doesn't feel like you have a new possession. So when you pay that note every month, it's kind of just like a monkey on your back. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times in this truth, we're going to think that, you know, what we're freely giving is that we're working for somebody else, which we are. We're working for our neighbor. We're working for, give me 1 Corinthians chapter 11, I think it's like five scriptures from the bottom of chapter 11.
But he that eateth drink and ordinary of these kind of many are the sick. What you looking for?
For my brother. All right, read 33 real quick.
This is 1 Corinthians.
Before you read 33, read. Hold up.
Can you paraphrase it?
The paraphrasing of it is like, why is my liberty Why is my conscience at liberty of another man?
Why is my conscience at liberty with another man?
You can read 33. Go ahead, read 33.
Okay. This is 1 Corinthians 11:33. And it says, wherefore, my brethren, when ye come together to eat, tarry one for another.
Right.
Verse 34. And if any man hunger, let him eat at home, that ye come not together unto condemnation, and the rest I will come set in order when I come.
Right, you can stop there. But my point is, you know what I'm saying, we have to labor in the truth for other people. Right? Other people. It's not about us. Right. So a lot of times when you're laboring as well, you know what I'm saying, you'll feel like you're laboring for free. For example, 10 and 29. Right? We're supposed to look at somebody else's conscience before we look at our conscience, right? When you work in a harvest, you know what I'm saying, you have to keep in mind that everybody that's working that harvest with you. When you're doing a laborer's job, it's a team effort, right? Keep reading.
For why is my liberty judged of another man's conscience?
Why is the liberty that I've been given judged of another man's conscience? Because somebody's always looking, right? If the moment you stop laboring could be the moment somebody else says, I don't need to labor no more. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we labor, because people are always looking. Now, sometimes when you labor, you think that, it's not fun, or you think it's pointless, and you might look back, right? So that's why it says any man that's going to pick up this plow and look back is not fit for the kingdom, right? We see this with Lot's wife. What did she do? She looked back. She's not fit for the kingdom, right? Because when you look back, what do? You start remembering old things from the world, right? You start getting emotionally attached to the cares of the world. You're no longer focused on the kingdom no more. You're worrying about the past. I was watching a video the other day, and he was emphasizing how brothers in the truth always reminisce on what they used to do in the world. Man, when I was in the world, I used to do X, Y, Z. When I was in the world, man, I was the best at this. When I was in the world, man, my life would be so much different if I was in the world. You can't be looking back you can't be looking back all the time. When you look back, that's when you're not fit for the kingdom. That's when you put that plow down, right? The plow might not be down as you're looking back, but over time, it's going to deter you from the truth. It's going to deter you from your labor. It's going to slow you down, right? It's going to distract you. And before you know it, you're not even interested in doing the work no more. You're just waiting to get off of work. You're waiting to get off, right? So you're laboring. And when you're laboring, you pick up that plow, you can't look back no more, right? Like we mentioned, Lot's wife. I'm going to give an example real quick, right? When I used to do construction, there was a low demand. Salakia, there was a low demand when I was in construction for laborers. You don't know what a laborer is. Pretty much, it was like the scum work. It was like cutting the grass, taking the trash out, janitors, cleaning up messes, you know what I'm saying, as far as like from natural disasters on the construction site, stuff like that. It was a low demand for laborers. Why? Because everybody and their mama want to be a laborer. Why is that? Because we are such a carnally thinking people. And in the book of Corinthians, he said, look, I got to give y'all just a couple of laws because y'all are so carnal. That's how carnal we are. We see the benefits, right, from working for the man. We see the benefits for working for the system. We see the benefits for working for the deceiver, the devil, the synagogue of Satan, actually the people that actually print the money. We see the physical advantage of that, how it affects our life, and we're willing to be laborers for that harvest. We're willing to be laborers for that kingdom, right? So that's why to be a laborer on a construction site or something, the jobs are slim to none. You can't even find it on Indeed for real. You know why? Because it's filled up. There's waiting lists. You got to know somebody to actually be a laborer in this wicked kingdom, right? Or else they're just going to say, hey, look, we got niggas to pick up the trash and we got Mexicans to cut the grass. You go find another job, right? Or you can wait a year and maybe we could pull you on, because everybody's so carnally minded. They say preaching this word, doing the work, doing this laborious work while I'm being oppressed, that's not going to put food on the table for my family. That's not going to pay my rent. Why am I doing that? I'm doing that for no reason. But as a woman in travail, right? A woman in travail is what? A woman that's in what? Labor. Hey, her body is working for deliverance, to deliver those babies. That's how we are. We're women in travail. Our nation is called a woman in travail. And it's laboring to get deliverance. Once you get that deliverance, you're going to forget about all the oppression and hard work, right? So we can't be carnally minded thinking, you know what I'm saying, this doesn't benefit my life. Because it's going to seem like sometimes it's not benefiting your life to do the truth, but that's why you have to keep doing it. That's why you have to have hope, right? Can you give me Hebrews 11:1? We got to have hope. Hope is, believing in something you can't see.
This is the book of Hebrews, the 11th chapter and the first verse. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for.
Of things what?
Of things hoped for.
So if you say that you got faith, you have hope as well. And what are you hoping for? Deliverance, salvation, that baby to be born, right? Keep reading.
The evidence of things not seen.
The evidence of things not seen, right? So when you have hope, you are praying and hoping that something that you can't see is going to come to pass. So even when you're laboring in the truth, when you're laboring, right, trying to get this word out, when you're laboring for brothers and sisters, guess what? You might not get no instant direct deposit into your bank account spiritually. You know what I'm saying? You might have to work a few weeks in the hole. You know what I'm saying? There's some jobs where you have to work like a month in the hole before you get your first check. Hey, in this truth, you might work your whole life before you might work in the whole life until you get your salvation. But once you get your salvation, it'll be worth it, right? And this is the gospel. This is why you don't have too many people in the truth, because it's bitter to the stomach when you find that out. It tastes sweet that you're the chosen people, but once they settle in and you know what you got to do and how hard it's going to be, guess what? That's why the laborers are few. Nobody wants to do it, right? So guess what? We got to labor for the truth. So I said, it was another example I thought I wanted to give.
Galatians 6:9.
Yeah, reap and sow. Yeah, we can pull that real quick. Galatians 6:7-9.
Let me get the book of Galatians, the 6th chapter, starting at the 7th verse. Just so I can really quick. Just trying to pull this out between. So I can bear with me.
Right.
This is Galatians, the 6th chapter, starting at the 7th verse. And it reads, "Be not deceived, God is not mocked.
Right.
For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap."
Right. Whatever you're going to sow, that's what you're going to reap. God's not mocked. That faith he told you to have, he's not mocked. He know what he's doing, right? Because it seemed like a long time to you, but to him it's a short period of time, right? Keep reading.
For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. For he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption.
Right. So you sow into your flesh trying to get these physical things, but guess what? You're spiritually poor. You're spiritually hungry. You don't have no food on your spiritual plate. You're trying to put food on your family plate, but you don't got no food to lead them. As for you and your house, you don't serve the Lord, right? You're spiritually hungry. You spiritually thirst. You haven't had none of that everlasting water, right? For everlasting life. You are literally spiritually poor. You're laboring. And you're laboring carnally, but you're spiritually poor, right? So this is why we see people not adding to the harvest, right? Keep reading.
But he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting.
Right, you're going to have life everlasting if you keep doing this work. If you keep adding to the harvest, moving your plow and looking forward, you're going to have life everlasting. All your years of working in the hole, right? Guess what? We are spiritual, indentured servants. We're working our 7 years, a perfect amount of time, right, for our salvation. We're working to be free, right? Our forefathers worked for their wives. You know what I'm saying? Well, we could say Jacob did. Jacob worked for both his wives. You know what I'm saying? He put that work in to get the woman. And we got to put our work in, right? So us as a woman can be presented as a bride as well. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes it feels like, man, I shouldn't be having to work like this. You're going to make me work another 7 years when you were the one that told me, you the one that pressed me. You the one that gave me the wrong wife. So I got to work another. We can't be complaining. We just got to do it. And then we'll get what we want at the end. You might, like I said, you might not see it in this lifetime. You might be oppressed all your life. You might be stressed all your life. But that's why he give you a rest day. That's why he give you holy days. That's why he gives you, you know what I'm saying, memorials. That's why he gives you prayers and fasting. You know what I'm saying? All throughout the book of Psalms. Right? That's all a part of the work as well. Keep reading.
And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not.
We shall what?
We shall reap if we faint not.
In due season. It might not be your season. It might not be my season. It might not ever be our season until the end. And because we didn't faint, guess what? Now we got the harvest. Because we were those laborers, right? With Ruth and Boaz. Ruth labored in Boaz's garden. And she eventually got her salvation. She eventually got her ahead. You know what I'm saying? So we're literally laboring. We're a woman in travail. We're a woman looking for a head, which is who we're going to be espoused to in the wilderness in Christ. We're looking to be espoused to Christ or promised to or engaged to Christ, right? We're working in not Boaz, but Boaz's great grandson, Christ. We're working in his garden, in his harvest, right? So we can be found worthy. You know what I'm saying? We might get overlooked when he on the balcony. We might get overlooked and somebody else, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter though. It doesn't matter, because guess what? At the end of the day, if you on that harvest and you working that harvest, when he decides to bless all the workers of his harvest, you counted in that number. You part of the elect. So it doesn't matter what your office is. The mightiest office, right? The Bible might not say this, but speaking as a man, the mightiest office in the Bible is to be a laborer. And as long as you're a laborer, you're going to be part of the elect, right? So the harvest is plentiful. The laborers are few. That harvest is beautiful, but the laborers make it beautiful. So what are you doing to make this spiritual harvest or this kingdom beautiful? Salakia, are you adding to it or are you subtracting to it? Are you looking back like Lot's wife, you finna be destroyed? Or is your head and eyes front and you know when you reap, you're gonna sow what you reap if you faint not? So with that, I'm gonna say Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Happy new moon. Happy last day of dedication, as some will say, Hanukkah. And